Welcome to Restaurant Food Fast with your host, Chuck Brooks.
In recipe styles. And this is going to work off of last week we did the mac and cheese and the scalloped potatoes. We're going to start everything the exact same way. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make any of the cream soups, any of the chowders. We're going to do a clam chowder and a cream of potato. And you'll see how you can take this recipe and do cream of broccoli, cheese soup, cream of chickens, any of the cream-based soups. All start this way. And it's real simple. I'll show you how to do that. Today we're going to be using, since we're doing the potato and the clam, we'll start with the basics. You're going to need to make a roux, so you're going to need to have your butter and flour. And then you get into the specifics. You got your roux done. Once you make your roux, you got to start making the sauce. So you have to have some milk. And then depending on the soup you're going to make. So for potato, I've got about 5 washed potatoes. I don't peel them. That we're going to cut down and cube for the cream potato soup. And then I have 2 cans of baby clams. Just doesn't have to be anything special. Excuse me. And your general seasonings. For the clam, I like to add a little Old Bay or Zatarain's, whichever you prefer. I prefer Zatarain's, but I have Old Bay, so that's what I'm using. Salt and pepper, of course. And then for the potato soup, I put a little bit of dill in it. And for finishing, now this is something you can do or not. It's up to you. You can take your basic bechamel sauce, add your ingredient to it, and I'm going to show you how to make it taste like it by using the liquids that you cook in. And at the very end, if you hit it with cream, I'm sure you've noticed when you go to different restaurants, different cream soups have different consistencies. The ones that you find that are really smooth and silky and taste real good have generally been finished with cream. And all you do is you make your soup, you get the taste the way you want, you put some cream in it. So I've got a container of cream for each one of these soups. Not sure if I'm going to need the whole thing or not for each one, but we'll find out as we do it. So give me a second to get everything started here, and we'll be right back, and I'll show you how to make these cream-based soups. Okay, the way we're going to start, think of your time management. What's going to take the longest to do? Basically, it's going to be cooking the potatoes, because when we're doing this fast, we're going to cook the potatoes separately. So we're going to start processing out the potatoes and get them into some hot water so they're going to be pretty much done by the time we have our roux finished and split and made into bechamel. So I'm going to start that now. Just basically I'm going to use the mandolin again. But I've changed to use the blades to cut. I'm basically going to cut bâtonnets, which are long sticks. And then I'm going to cut those down by hand. But this will just help out with the speed a little bit, and we'll get that started. Again, when you're using your mandolin, watch. You don't want to grate your hand on here. It'll make a mess. You'll definitely be going to the hospital. Like that. Yep, it got me. See how professional this is? Because I've lost my my safety guard. But basically, this is the setting I have these set to. So it's a French fry. And I'm just going to cut those into pieces. Remember when I said about being careful with the mandolin? It's really sharp. If you can see my hand, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Be really careful with the mandolin. We're back. Went and got my medical attention. I'm telling you, I'm not joking around. The mandolins are sharp. You gotta watch. I'm not using the blade because, hey, I'm a pro, right? My hand also now looks like ground meat. But cut down the rest of the potatoes with a lot of cursing, and I fired on my crew because they're being much less than compassionate because I'm being an idiot with sharp objects. So I'm just going to cut these down so they're a little more bite-sized and not these big French fries. Now, if I lop my finger off during this part of it, I don't want to hear it. And as you can see, I'm not being real particular with this. I just want them a little smaller than they are. If you were doing this restaurant style, high end, where you want it all uniform, you'd line them up and do them uniform. I'm not worrying about it. At this point today, I'm just worried about keeping my fingers away from the sharp objects I have. Another nice thing about these flexible cutting boards, you're not going to spill stuff everywhere when you pick them up. Alright, only thing in the back is the water's on. I started heating it up a little bit, and potatoes, a little bit of salt. That's it. Now I'm going to start the roux so we can get the bechamel sauce working. So I'm going to take some butter. I'm making 2 soups, so I don't know about that much. 5 to 6 tablespoons, maybe. Now, even though the recipe for a roux is 1-to-1 flour to butter, you don't have to use the same amount of flour. You can make it a thinner roux. The flour is still going to thicken. If you think, say you put in a whole stick, so just put in a little less flour. It can be a thinner roux, and it's still going to thicken. So you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't have to be exact. That's a trick in cooking. None of this has to be exact. Once you understand the basic premise, you can wing it, and it's all going to work fine. So we're going to get that moving. I'm going to put some flour in it once it gets melted down, and then I'm basically going to split it in half. Now, if you were doing these soups for real and you wanted to take time, you would actually cook your potatoes in the bechamel. It takes a little longer, but it gives it more of a potato flavor. There's a way to get around that, particularly if you're making it quickly, and I'll show you how to do that. This is the way we're going to do it. You just basically use the sauce, use some of the liquid that you've cooked the potatoes in, because they're going to maintain a lot of the starch, and they're going to have a lot of the potato flavor. That's probably heaping, so 6 tablespoons of flour. We're experiencing technical difficulties today, and that would be my motor skills. So we've got our roux going. Just like I said before with the bechamel sauces, when you're dealing with a roux, you'll smell the difference. When you first put that flour in there, it's gonna have a very raw smell to it, a raw flour smell. When it hits blonde, it's going to change the smell. It's going to smell more like, I don't know, they say a nutty flavor, or like bread. It just changes. You'll know it. As soon as you do it, you'll know it. So there we go. Our roux is good. It's getting ready to change from blonde to brown. Hit it with some milk. Whisk it up. Break up all the lumps. It's not going to break up real easy. It's just like the ones we made before. We made this for the Alfredo. We made this for the mac and cheese. Same thing for the scalloped. It's all the same. Bechamel sauce is the basis for a ton of different recipes. So as the milk heats up, it's going to thicken up. The flour is going to start absorbing the liquid. And you just keep working it until you get the consistency you want. I'm going to get the potatoes stirred and take a look. I missed a couple, so I got a couple French fries in here that I'm just breaking up because they're cooking. Another trick when you're cooking and you're trying to cook quickly, you want to do something quickly. The smaller the pieces you have, the faster they cook. So if you know you want to do something quick, make your pieces smaller. The milk had heated up and it started absorbing, being absorbed by the flour. It was getting thicker, so you just add more milk. And that's basically it. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper, just because I'm going to forget if other. This is now the only thing. I'm doing two different soups, so I'm going to, once this starts thickening on this side, I'm going to split it into two pots to show you the consistencies you're looking for and what you're going to do with it from there. The cream is actually going to thicken the soup a little bit. It's definitely not going to water it out, so you don't have to worry about your thickness at that point. What you want to think about is, if you're going to add clams, you want to add clam juice. So you want your basis, your bechamel, to be a little thicker than servings, because once you add the liquid ingredients, it's going to thin it out some. So keep it a little thicker than you would normally want to serve it, and it's going to thin itself out with the rest of the ingredients. So there we go. I'm going to turn this other one on. As this gets hot, you can see it's starting to thicken up again. Thicken up again. And just remember, you're not going to get, again, you're not, any sauces that you thicken with flour, with the roux, you're not going to get your maximum consistency until right before boiling. Once they hit that point, then that's the thickest they're going to be without reduction. So you can kind of judge. If you see it starting to bubble and boil, then you know you're at your max. If you haven't seen it start to simmer yet, you got a little bit before it thickens up completely. See what can happen now when I try and split this. There we go. So I'm going to turn my heat way down because I don't want it. This will definitely scorch the bottom of the pans. So now you've got a really thick bechamel sauce. This one is deciding it's going to continue to cook for a while. My stove hasn't turned down. So I'm going to fix this one first. You can make sure it's going to stop sticking to the bottom. Can of baby clams and sauce. Keep the liquor with it, whole 9 yards. In it goes. Mix it up. I'm adding 2 cans because I love clams. There you go. This one's starting to boil again. Very good. Potatoes are done. Turn them off. And I'll show you the trick with doing the potato soup. Just use the liquid and all. Take the potatoes with scoops of the starch liquid that they were cooking in. It's going to give the flavor to that bechamel that you've cooked the potatoes in it. It's real easy, real quick recipe, real good trick if you just want to make potato soup real fast. I'm going to take some of these potatoes without the starch liquid because for something to be a chowder, it has to have potatoes. So I'm going to add a portion of these to the clam as well. Actually, not the best utensil to be doing this with, but I happen to have one in here somewhere. A slotted spoon works a lot better if you don't want the liquid. You know, my take a look, make sure I didn't burn it. Yep, that'll work. Okay, for the end, all you do is take the cream. That's it. Do the same thing with the clam. And your final step is to salt and pepper to taste. Then you're done pretty much. That works fine to me. I'm going to hit this one with a little bit of just a dash of the Old Bay, not a whole lot. That flavor can really overpower things. And I'm going to finish the potato with some dill. And taste them both for salt and pepper. If you think you burned something, but when you taste it, it doesn't taste burnt, don't dig up the bottom. If you dig up the bottom, you're going to bring all that bitter burnt taste up into your product, whatever it is you're cooking. So just don't do it. If you know you've burned it immediately, take it off the heat. Don't stir up the bottom. Transfer it into a new pot. You might be able to salvage it. I saved this one just because I could smell it. So it came close, but we didn't do it. You can change this to anything. If you would take the very same bechamel sauce we started with, cook some broccoli, frozen broccoli. Just put it in a pan and let it heat up. Keep the water that seeps out of the broccoli. Put that all into your bechamel, cream of broccoli. Add cheese to it, cream of cheddar. You can do anything. You have leftover baked potatoes. Cut them up, put them in there. Add cheddar cheese. You got the cheddar baked, cream of cheddar baked potato. You can do whatever you want. It's just really, really simple. And that's pretty much it for those. Next time, I think I might show you a different soup base. I might do the wedding soup. I've been getting some requests for that, but I'm not sure. Remember, always use your card. You may be used to it. You may think it's not going to get you. Got me twice in one day just because I wasn't thinking about it. So that's it. We'll be back and try and think of what we're going to do for next week and talk about some other things. And I'll see you in a minute. All right. So during our little break there, one of the guys was asking me, why don't you just start with cream? Well, I'm not sure. You can. You can make the entire soup out of cream. The fat content is going to be really, really high. I used half cream, half milk. The other thing is there's a long-standing rule that you never boil your cream because you can separate it. Today's day and age, I'm not so sure if that'll happen. With pasteurization, it pretty much locks those fats down. So a lot of times it won't separate. From when I started, you never boiled your cream. If you would take your cream up to a boil in a soup, it's going to change the texture. Creaming is a style of making a sauce or a soup, making it richer. It's kind of like, there's a French term, it's called monter au beurre, which is basically finishing with butter. So if you make a sauce, any kind of sauce, so you're making a beef gravy for something, if at the very end of that gravy where you have it in your pan, you put a tablespoon or two of butter in there and just swirl it around and let the heat of that sauce melt it down in, that's called monter au beurre. And what it does is it gives your sauce a nice shine and a richer taste. That's pretty much the same thing we're doing with creaming at the end. So anything you want to do that you want to build that rich flavor into, hit it with a shot of cream at the very end of what you're doing, and it just adds a really good mouthfeel, a good texture to it. And you don't have to use as much cream. So that leads me into another thing I want to talk a little bit about. When you're cooking things like we're doing, quick foods, things that you want to do really fast, your quality of ingredient is very important. You can get away with cooking long foods that are of lesser quality because you can hide them with seasonings and sauces and things like that. If you are making a quick soup, say you're going to make a quick chicken soup. I mean, the traditional way is to take a chicken, cut it down, it's basically the bones, roast it so the bones are brown, then you make your stock out of it and you use that to make your soup. Or, traditional home way, you just take a chicken, cut it up, throw it in a pot, boil it forever until you've got your stock. If you use good ingredients, if you use like Miner's bases, it's a brand name, Miner's, they're very high quality. So you can actually just take that, put the water to it, heat it up, and it tastes like real stock. With the advent of all today's box stocks, there are some box stocks out there that are really good. You're going to tell the difference between homemade and those, but it's a step up from using bouillon cubes. If you're going to do these quick recipes, make sure your ingredients are higher quality. You don't want to try and get away with making a quick potato or clam or any of these chowders with 2% milk. It's not going to work. It'll work. It'll be a soup, but it's not going to have that richness. It's not going to have that depth of taste and that smooth mouthfeel that you're used to from a good high quality. That's why I used heavy cream. If you use milk, you can kind of reduce it down to where the fats are more congested in there, and it does give you a better taste. use the higher quality ingredients when you're cooking fast. That would be kind of like trying to just throw a chuck roast on the grill. You're not going to get what you want out of it. It's not the cut of meat for that. You know, that has to be low and slow. You want to cook it a while. So go for your ingredients. Make sure you get good quality stuff, particularly if you're cooking really fast. Best rule of thumb is always get top quality. But we all know that sometimes you just don't have the budget for it. So make sure that your basics, everything that you're using on your basics is a good quality. You don't have to use a lot of it, and it'll take it up that notch to where you're like, this isn't just an ordinary soup. This is actually really good. So there you go. Showed you how to make the basis for cream soups. If you notice, the same thing as making the mac and cheese or the scalloped potatoes. It's a bechamel sauce. Add your other ingredients, and now you got a cream soup. Really, really simple. Yeah, we appreciate all the viewing. We're ramping up with the hits. We're getting people interested from all over. It's pretty exciting. We're just doing this for fun. So I'm glad people are enjoying it. Again, keep the comments coming and let us know if there's anything you would like to see us do. You can get hold of us at restaurantfoodfast@gmail.com. And like I say every time, questions, even if I don't know the answer, I'll find it. I'll get back to you. I answer all my emails. So yeah, just keep coming. We appreciate the viewership, and like I say, let us know if there's anything we can do for you to help you out in the kitchen, and we'll do our best to do that. So until next time, be careful. Make sure you use the safety gear that you have provided with your utensils.